Hello, the channel. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I hope you're doing well midweek. Celtic nil, Kairat nil. So, yeah, not exactly a vintage SO5 game week from the famous Glasgow Celtic. Playing a bit rotten, if I'm honest. So, anyways, we're looking ahead to the weekend, previewing the whole game week, and we'll have a specific look also at Celtic as well. Good home fixture against Livingston. We'll chat through the percentages on site and also some other matters as well, including some injuries, unfortunately. First and foremost, though, I want to have a look at the whole game week. This is obviously the sheet from Sorare Probabilities. Quite a few people reply and ask me about this from time to time. I do have the link tree to the free trial on Sorare Probabilities in the channel bio, etc. on YouTube. So just go into the channel head in our bio, the link and everything's in there. There's no code or anything, you just get a free trial if you want to have a go at it. So fixtures for this weekend, Paris Saint-Germain against Angers. I'm not really good with the French pronunciations now. Going to end up sounding like Joey Barton or something. But 3.39 expected team goals, 60% clean sheet percentage. I think the problem, as far as I can see with people having PSG players, is been a hell of a lot of rotation. But there we go. I'm not really playing France just now, so it doesn't really affect me. PSV against Groningen. Bit of a nightmare start really for PSV holders. I think Joey Veerman's out this weekend as far as I can see. I bought a player limited and he's done his knee, so yeah, not the best introduction to Holland. I think I'm probably just going to chip away at getting a few of those initial streaks, and then I don't really see me going very far with the Dutch league just now, but we'll see. I mean, prices can change, and obviously with PSV perhaps getting some injuries, there can be some opportunity. Celtic versus Livingston, 2.96 expected team goals, 53% clean sheet percentage. We'll do a specific preview in Celtic once we've run through the best fixtures. Ajax against Heracles. Again, two of the best fixtures of the whole game week. Remember, this is the whole game week, are in Holland, but obviously those games are in the specific Dutch competitions. 2.9 expected team goals and 53% clean sheet percentage again, which is also pretty high. Then we've got Bayern Munich, so we've got some Bundesliga action this weekend. So I'm not doing a specific preview of that because I'm not really getting in there too far. I think at the moment, like obviously with all the promos on and with getting in amongst like the challenger sort of build up of streaks and maybe some contender ones and things, I'm not really ready to sort of go and sort of spend the extra premium at the moment. So we'll see if some big wins come again. Then you never know, but that's just the way it is just now. Barcelona against Levante. Barca obviously battered Mallorca, absolutely brilliant. Some really high scores. Did have like I think 10 or 9 men or something, so a bit of a weird game there. Benfica against Tondela, so 64% clean sheet percentage for Benfica. It's nice to see Trubin playing a bit better. I do think they'll be a bit better this season. I think maybe at some points they underperformed their expected clean sheets, and they've got some big Champions League games and everything just now, so there could be maybe a potential for maybe Trubin to be rested. It's quite early in the season, so probably not, but I see the percentages on site maybe reflect that. Sporting against Nacional Funchal. Actually, I was over in Madeira this summer and I went past the Funchal Stadium, so there we go. Fun fact for the day. Some flight in there, by the way. It's absolutely brilliant. Right over the water. Go too far, you're in the drink. You're right in the water. Anyway, Sporting playing against Funchal. It's in Madeira. 50% clean sheet percentage, 2.44 xg. I'm going to be using Trincao, etc. in my limited side of things. Galatasaray again, really good fixture. They seem to always have been a pretty good team. I think they're better than Fenerbahce. Sorry to all Fenerbahce and other Turkish fans, but Galatasaray look like the leading team in that league, so always a bit of a challenge, for want of a better word, and challenger. Utrecht against Excelsior, pretty good fixture for Utrecht there. Fenerbahce. And EPL action, so first fixture, Arsenal against Leeds. I was pretty impressed by Leeds, I must admit. Obviously, that was a home game. Anton Stack, I think, was pretty good. We were pretty good at the back. Strait played pretty well, so it'll be interested to see if he stays in. And Goodmanson was quite good. They looked as if they were pretty decent. So if you're a Leeds fan, then I think there'll be a lot of hope there in terms of staying up. But it is the best fixture on paper this weekend, but you just don't know. Obviously, in the English Premier League, Arsenal scraped that win against Man United, but not overly impressive. I thought Man United played pretty well. Porto against Casapia, again, 60% clean sheet percentage. So, yeah, Celtic have definitely got a lot to contend with in Challenger this weekend. There's no doubt about that. The Sounders have best fixture by the looks of it in MLS. Quite hard to pick a stack with them just now. I've seen Bab with a bit of a whinge about Stefan Fry being out and stuff like that. But yeah, let's not get into the DNP battle. Man City against Tottenham, that'll be a belting game. Tottenham look pretty good on Thomas under Frank. Gave PSG a good game and, solid start to the season. Lyon against Metz. I think Metz were pretty poor against Strasbourg, so pretty good fixture for Lyon if you're playing in France as well. You don't have any PSG players. Anything else standing out? Well, I'm going to come down a bit because, as I've said before when I'm doing this, over 2 expected team goals is still a pretty decent fixture. So we've got Marseille there. Atletico Madrid, a lot of changes there, but Madrid, 62% clean sheet percentage, pretty high as well. AC Milan against Cremonese. Real Madrid against Oviedo. It's nice to see Arda Güler getting a full run. Season this season, Modric is away. He's on sets and things, so he's going to be an awesome card this season. Zagreb against Istra. Pretty good fixture for Zagreb. They've started well. Zenit, I think Douglas Santos finally get a really good fixture and he's suspended. Anyway. Braga against AVS, 57% clean sheet percentage. A wee bit disappointed the Braga game wasn't covered midweek, but I've picked up a couple of players there just for the limited side, just to assist with the streaks, and the goalkeeper is under 23s as well, which is quite good, and I can use in Challenger. San Diego against Timbers, Inter Milan there as well, so I might sort of factor in some Sommers there, probably more in the classic side of things, but you'll see in a minute why I might want to mix them in just regarding in season, in that last slot. It's a really weird one to think in your head, and the Serie A guy going to be going in with Challenger or Celtic or whatever, but that's the way it's set up because of the way the game is this season. Rangers tough fixture against St Mirren, very poor this season. That's not really an SO5 game, I wouldn't have thought, so you never know, maybe they'll bounce back, but very, very poor so far this season. No wins in the league, dropped by Bruges, and we've got St Gilloise against La Louvière, and that's a fixture I'll be having a look at myself in terms of the JPL. Nothing else really mad standing out, so we'll have a quick look now at the Celtic prediction. So Glasgow Celtic, really good fixture against Livingston. Yeah, you're not going to like what I'm going to say now though. Injuries, Jota, ACL, everybody knew that. Alistair Johnson's screwed. Stretchered off with his hamstring, really bad. I don't see him being back soon, to be perfectly honest. I think it's going to be a couple of months' job. Really quite a bad one. Totally, torn it. So, couldn't walk or anything. Horrendous. Daisen Maeda is an interesting one. He did look as if he was hobbling a bit at the end. So, it's going to be some big decisions this weekend. Now, firstly, Kasper Schmeichel, 70%. That is quite low. So, what happened last weekend was Celtic played against Falkirk in the Cup. Sinisalo started. Brendan Rodgers was interviewed and he said, the reporter said, is Sinisalo the Cup goalkeeper? And then he replied by saying that he could have sent Sinisalo out on loan this season to get him some games. However, he was good last season and he would get some games this season. What does some games mean? I don't know what that means. So maybe get some games in the Cup. So there we go. So there is a chance Sinisalo could start this weekend. I don't know where he's going to start. I'm not Mystic Meg. I'm not Brendan Rodgers. That's why Schmeichel's 70%. Take that into account when you're doing your prediction, your lineups. Anthony Ralston is the most nailed person in the defence. We don't have any other right backs, so if he doesn't start at right back, then I think there'll be a call out to the car park and see who's brought their boots. Defence-wise, Carter Vickers was rested against Falkirk. I think he'll probably play this game. It could easily be Dane Murray and Trusty because they started that game against Falkirk. Celtic did very well, but I think that after Vickers getting rested and after the poor result midweek, should be strongish. Also with Johnston out, I don't think he'll want to change the whole defence. I've got Kieran Tierney in at 70%. He could easily start on the bench and then come on as well. Again, he did start against Falkirk, so there we go. He's obviously played a few games, but then he's been coming off at 75, so he's not playing full games. Could be Scales starting, Tierney coming on. I think in terms of defenders, to use, Ralston and Scales are pretty good shouts because Scales at the very worst is going to take some minutes from Tierney because he's been playing recently. Cal McGregor got 80%. He doesn't really tend to get left out. I mean, he will get a natural rest soon because doesn't go with international teams. Brendan Rodgers did say that guys like Bernardo would get a game at some point soon with all the games coming up, but that might mean that he just comes from the bench and gets some minutes. Hatate and Nygren's an interesting one. I've had to base this analysis on the percentages, and Nygren has started every sort of game against like the low block, and Livingston will come in and sit in and park the bus. He started all those games in midfield. I do think that actually if Engels comes into this game, and there is a reasonable chance of that, you could maybe see Engels and McCowan in there as well. Nygren, does he start then right wing? Very interesting decisions. Adam Ida got hooked at half time at the midweek. Horrendous. Not a good player at all. I like the big guy. He's a good guy. He loves Celtic. He wanted to come to Celtic. Just not a good footballer, unfortunately. So what else can I say? Brendan Rodgers agrees. He took him off at half time. He was terrible. If Maeda's fit, I think he'll feature, but you could see some changes there. You could see a wild front three. It could be like Yang, Yamada, and Forrest, or Yang, Johnny Kenny, or whatever, like Nygren. I really don't know. There's going to be some rotations this weekend. So the most common question I'm getting is, who are the safe five if I'm going for a streak this weekend? My safe five would be like Sporting Lisbon, Trincao, Gonzalo Inacio, Rui Silva. There's no safe five at Celtic. I've told you, the percentages are on site. Do your lineups accordingly, okay? The other information I put in there is just about the cup. Johnson's definitely out, so there we go. So what we're looking at for this weekend, I've done a couple of lineups myself, so I'm not going to go over them too much. We'll have a quick look maybe at the English Premier League ones and stuff, just for a bit of variety. I do think that actually Brighton have a reasonable fixture. I mean, Everton were pretty poor first game, not much of attacking threat. So I'm kind of going with Everton are at home with their new stadium. They're at their new stadium. It's an away game for Brighton, but Brighton are quite capable of going away and getting results in the English Premier League. I mean, they've caused a lot of teams problems away from home. They've got guys like Matoma who can just play like really well in the counter-attack and stuff. Managed to get Masaka unvaulted, so that's probably going to affect my percentage going forward on limited. I'm going to have to maybe actually seal up a few other guys because he was a 200-pointer, but home against Leeds, he's not really been scoring very well at all, to be perfectly honest. I think it's a bit concerning his situation because obviously he took penalties and things. Will Gyökeres get those penalties now? Havertz is out, so Gyökeres probably pretty nailed. So I'm going pretty Brighton heavy there, but I'm going with a wee differential as well because I'm in Division 2. Then the other team, Anton Stack, etc. It's not a good fixture for him away against Arsenal, but here we go. Juliper, I'm still working on at the moment. Balikwisha, I think, is heavily linked in terms of agreed come to Celtic. The talk is that it's been agreed, but Antwerp are trying to get his replacement in, whether that's Parfait Guillagon or somebody else, before the deal completes. So I might have to run somebody else in that last slot for Balikwisha. That's my provisional team. I don't really know yet. I've got Marsa and the other team, which is obviously a rare team, but I could well move that super rare in for Balikwisha. If Balikwisha comes to Celtic, I'll be delighted because I've got the 1 out of 10 right, and I do like him. He's not an out-and-out winger, but I do like him. The other thing to watch out for in Belgium is that Bruges, Genk, etc. are not playing this weekend, but there's like a full amount of cash being handed out. Dutch League, again, Bream, I don't think that's going to happen to Celtic now. I wondered whether maybe with PSV having some issues, they could be hovering around him. I think that Bream might actually end up being a Celtic player at some point, but there's talk of like a contractual situation in next year and stuff like that, and I don't know whether Celtic are maybe just trying to get him on the cheap. Did really seem to be that he was one of the first choices of sort of wide players, etc. But now, focus has gone to Balikwisha, so we just couldn't reach agreement there. But a really talented player, Bream, and he played last weekend, so I'm going to use him. Try and see if I can actually hit the 250, which is a bit embarrassing. And then Challenger, I really don't know what to do. Like, honestly, it's just, I'm only going to show you top ones. I have actually fired Sinisal in as a sort of backup because in Super Rare you don't get relegated. It's absolutely brilliant. You can just be terrible, and next weekend you can just put in your team again. It's absolutely magic. So I've gone with some strong lineups, but the very first lineup I've prioritised who I think is going to be the most nailed starters. So Schmeichel, I've got to put him in. You can't really just leave him out, right? I mean, if I don't put him in and Celtic smash, then that is a horrendous mistake. So I've got to use him. Good home game against Livingston. They'll sit back. It's a good chance of a clean sheet. Ralston's nailed. A fixture as well. McGregor usually plays. And then the other stuff's just a case of mixing it up. So there we go. It's not a full detailed game week preview just now. Well, it is. I've covered off, obviously, all the best fixtures. I've covered off Celtic. I'm not going to go in any more detail because it's quite difficult just now. There's even games tonight in the Europa and Conference League qualifiers, and that all affects decisions for the weekend or potential rotations, etc. If you do want to sign up to Sorare Inside and get the additional information over and above the percentage you get on the site, you could please support the channel and use code McBride10. You do get a 10% discount for that as well. And if you like this video, please do hit like and subscribe because, again, the channel doesn't make much money, if any money at all, but I want to continue doing the craft and the giveaways, giving something back, and hopefully people are enjoying the content. Anyway, it's a bit more of a quick fire one for this weekend. There is tons on, but I'm not really that active in a lot of those divisions, so I'm not going to go into any more information on player selections. If you have any questions, drop them into the comments and I'll try and answer them ASAP in our words. I don't know if that's what I meant to say, but anyways, we're at the end of the video. Wish you all good luck for the weekend. It will end in the customary fashion. Good luck and go fuck.